Hello again, it's Andy on my Derbyshire Roller Rider channel. Other channels are available, and there's a couple of them that I mention within this video that relate to videos I mentioned. So I did actually start here, because I was going to have a drink at the little cabin, but it seems to be shut, so I just set my camera up and then set off. So just a place where the Steel City Classic is. This is the original road that was the main road running from Chesterfield to Sheffield. I think it's got superseded by the dual carriageway, probably mid-70s, and the reason I think it's mid-70s is back in my student days, about 50 odd years ago, it wasn't round here. I was a student, it was in Salford, but one of the lecturers actually mentioned having worked on the bridges on that part of the dual carriageway. I know the newer part going into Chesterfield, that opened in about 1985. Now, the reason I remember this road quite well is before I was old enough to drive the car, my dad used to take me occasionally to a driving school in Sheffield, where you're allowed to go around the track well, before you're old enough, and they didn't even bother with insurance on the cars. I don't know if there were ever any incidents, because it did get quite busy with learner drivers on there. And that's at Lightwood Lane, which is sort of just to the end of this road, and then the other side of Dronfield, and you turn off there. And, there is a video on my channel of the old cine films, just a little clip of me driving my mum's old Vauxhall Viva around there. So my starting point, Steel City Classics. It's an interesting motorbike dealer that's almost a museum. It's got loads of bikes from probably 1960s to 1980s that are in fantastic condition, most of them. I know a year or two ago they used to have a few of the Yamaha FS1E, or Fizzy as they were known, mopeds that were very popular when I was around about the age of 16, because the legislation had recently come in that the age for any bike above 50cc went up from 16 to 17, so these sporty type mopeds like the Fizzy, they got very popular. Unfortunately I couldn't afford one, and I had to make do with like a normal little moped, which was fine for getting me around, but not at the sort of speed you could go round on the Fizzies and similar Hondas. And quite a few brands came in with like fast mopeds to get around this legislation of no longer being able to ride anything bigger at 16. And the Fizzies that they had in stock, they're on sale for about £6 or £7 grand. I mean, when they were new, they probably cost about £1,000, and now these 50-year-old ones, I've got to say, they did look in immaculate condition. We're selling for that sort of money. I think they also, in terms of new bikes, I think they're the franchise for Indian, but I'm not sure if they've still got that. Not seen any on any of the recent adverts, and they seem to have branched out in terms of new ones of more scooters than bikes. There's the Royal Alloy and the Sim and the Kimco. But I'm just going back to the video. I maybe shouldn't have turned off here. It's been better if I'd gone up to the right, but on the other hand, you do get to see the back streets of the little village of Apenol on here. Sort of goes up a narrow bit and a really sharp, steep right-hand turn, which had me slowing down to almost 0 miles an hour. It's a lot steeper there than it looks on the video. Yeah, so going back to Steel City Classics, they were a dealer of the Indian bike, but I'm not sure if they still are. But it's well worth a visit, just for the museum-y part of it, where just if you want to. That was another really steep right one there. I think this one was steeper than the previous one. It took a bit getting round. You can see on my beeline that I'm off route. I should have turned further down, but at least you see a bit of rural bit going up this way. So I'm not sure if the Indian motorbike is still selling very much now at all. So this is the first time for a few days that I've been out on the bike. I've been busy, as I think I mentioned on the last video. We were looking after a little dog that belongs to my daughter, who's had a few days away with the family on holiday, and it turned so hot a couple of days after we got him. The only time to take him a walk was first thing in the morning, so even then it was quite hot. So rather than take him around the house in a state, about 4 or 5 times I took him to a place called McGregor's Pond. It's a little fishing lake, probably only about a mile from where I live, and it's quite well hidden away. It's more or less in the middle of an industrial estate, and you suddenly come across it. So there is one of my videos, or more of a slideshow, we're going around there, of the nice little sights around the lake, and it sort of prompted me to have another look for a riding destination that takes in a lake or a fishing pond. I don't know what definition is if defines whether you call them a pond or a lake. Is it down to the size, or I don't know what the reason is. I'd say, although I've got a real liking for visiting areas of lake, I've never been into fishing at all. My theme music today is Fisherman's Blues by the Waterboys, which is a song I've always liked. But like I say, I've never been into fishing, but in terms of visiting, I think I prefer to go to lakes than seasides. I've had several holidays in the Lake District, and locally we've often had a drive out with my wife, or a ride out on the bike to places like Carsington and Rother Valley, and of course the Lady Bowers on the reservoirs like Lady Bower and Derwent Water on the Yorkshire-Derbyshire border are very nice, and with little visitor centres. Then in terms of the group rides, I've been to ones with nice cafes like Longford Fisheries, which is somewhere just south of Derby, and fairly local to home. There's a nice cafe at Barlow Fisheries, which is just going out to the west of Chesterfield, and that's got a really nice cafe in a nice setting. It's just something about lakes, really, particularly in hot weather. It has been hot for the last few days. I missed going out on the ride out on Wednesday with the group that I ride with, and I know that was a really hot day, but I think it's got hotter and hotter as the week's gone on. I know by the time I got to the end of this ride, because as I've said before, I put the commentary on the end, it was sweltering hot, and I sort of spent the rest of the day getting several pints of fruit juice or water or anything, not alcoholic stuff. I just needed the licorice to rehydrate. It was that warm. So I've not had this one recommended to me at all. This Water's Edge Cafe. It's just something I stumbled across on a map, and I thought, I wonder if that's a nice destination to go with Wednesday Breakfast Club. So I thought, rather than just pick it and go, I thought, as I've not had a chance to get out all week on the bike, I thought I'd just go and suss it out and see what it's like. So that's what I'm doing on this video. So just going through Marsh Lane and down to Eckington, and then turning towards Sheffield. So we do eventually end up on the A57, which is A57 is obviously famous for the Snake Pass, but instead of turning left and going to the interesting parts of the A57, we turn right onto the more built-up area. So I've cut out about 5 or 6 minutes in the middle of the video, and then it finishes off just before the approach to the cafe where I go. I noticed the traffic lights are out here, and luckily there's not a lot of traffic causing chaos, but I presume as it's a T-junction and I'm on the main part going through, this road has priority, but never quite sure. I suppose you've got to treat it as like a unmarked junction if it normally has traffic lights and it hasn't, and sort of be prepared to give way to traffic coming through as they're prepared to look as well what's coming the other way. So I'm going down through Eckington now. Get to the bottom of here and then turn up towards Crystal Peaks, little shopping outlet place. Now, given how hot it was, the last thing I wanted to do was get in a traffic jam anywhere, and fortunately there weren't too many delays. Because you obviously find doing a decent ride in this sort of weather, and it's not sensible to sort of strip down to t-shirt and shorts like some do, but it's okay when you're moving because you've got a bit of wind chill like a fan blowing in your face or on your body, but when you have to stop in it though, you can't switch the air conditioning on like you would in a car, and it does get swelteringly hot. Now these traffic lights are working, so it's not like a power cut in the area. It's just that when I get to the bottom of the road here, there's another set of traffic lights not working, and that is quite a busy junction. Now my plan was going to go up through Bayton Village, which is quite nice. It's got a nice cafe, I think it's called the Meeting Place, and a little bit of a recreation ground for the miners' welfare, which is pleasant. But I took a look at the route on the map, and if I'd gone through Bayton itself, by the time I get to the A57, it's like a no right turn. So here's the other traffic lights, it's not working. Luckily there's not a load of cars coming the other way. yeah, if I'd gone through Bait, and by the time I got to A57, it was no right turn, so I'd had to double back to turning left to the roundabout, and then back en route. So I thought I might as well just give Baiton Village a miss and just carry on straight through. Now the most direct route to this cafe through going down this way would be to turn at one of the roundabouts and go through Kilmarsh Village, but I did a ride fairly recently that I filmed where I ended up at Rother Valley, so I thought, no, instead of doing that I'll go the long way round and approach from northbound direction. We're in Yorkshire now. Traffic lights seem to be working there, unlike those two sets in Derbyshire. Don't know if the heat's had something to do with it. Of course, little power cuts in places with all the heat, so who knows? Like I say, luckily it didn't disrupt the flow of the traffic too much. So this is a turn that I would have taken if I'd taken the more direct route, but instead I carried on, and I'm going to pause it here. Well, not pause it here. I'm going to pause it in the editing and put a little bit of music on. So I'm just approaching the A57, which is the main road from Sheffield to the outskirts of Manchester. But I don't go on the interesting bits of it, so I'm going east towards Rotherham. So I'm just going up to the roundabout, and where I get caught in a traffic jam, and then I've just cut out about 5 or 6 minutes of it, and I'm now approaching the roundabout that leads towards the destination, which is at Aston on the outskirts of Rotherham. This is the road that leads down to Rother Valley. Looking at my navigation, it said carry on to the next entrance, but this is actually the correct one. Problem with fisheries places is that whatever you put in the postcode that's supposed to be the correct postcode seems to cover a wide area and doesn't necessarily take you to where you're wanting to go. I know we've had issues with that when we're visiting places before. We've arrived as a group at what should be the destination, but in these rural areas the postcode seems to cover quite a wide area because there's not many properties. So I'm just passing the first of the lakes, and then where the cafe and shop is, that's at the next lake. So part of my reason is doing a bit of research to see if it's worth being a destination for one of our breakfast rides, and looking at the location and the menu, I'd say it definitely is. So I shall put that to the rest of my riding group next time I see them. So I didn't manage to get out last week because I was doing other things, and then I think a couple of weeks before that weather was quite bad, so not been on a group ride for a few weeks, so it's just good to get out on this ride and get a bit of riding done. There's a few mini speed humps where it shakes me up and down here. Looking on the site map that I've seen, there does seem to be a little bit of a road all the way around the lakes, but I think it's gravel most of the way. I don't think there's a tarmacked route all the way around. So I'll pull up and get off the bike without taking the camera off, and just have a walk to the lakeside to get a bit of that in the video, although I've put about 7 still shots on at the end, which shows what it's like. So I just had a quick sandwich here and a drink, and it definitely gets my approval as a place to visit. So next time I come, I'll be coming from the other end, which is probably a more direct route for me. It passes Rother Valley Water Park, or whatever you describe it as, the leisure area, and also there's Gulliver's Valley, which is a young kids theme park. We took the grandkids 2 or 3 years ago. So, like I say, I did miss 5 or 6 minutes out of the final edit. But if anybody wants to know the route, it's coming up on the map at the end. So, until the next time, it's goodbye.